Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduction to myself. My name is Mayang Puspita Devi, and I am student of Office Administration Education at Faculty Economy, University of Jakarta. And this section, I will present my thesis. The title, the effect of self-efficacy on entrepreneurship interest is mediated by the entrepreneurship motivation of student SMKN 50 Jakarta. And chapter 1, problem background. Indonesia is developing country with the highest population level in ASEAN, where in the picture, Indonesia occupies first position with a population of 264.2 million. With the high level of population in Indonesia, the higher the competition in industrial world, this allows the employment rate increase every year. The term employment is someone who does not work or does not have a job. And this is the picture. Vocational high school are in a focus on being ready to work in the industrial world because they already have a skill and competition to work. It can be see the figure that the high employment rate is vocational high school with a total of 12.55%. To reduction the employment rate in Indonesia, especially at the level of vocational high school graduate, it is necessary to carry out an innovation in developing and growing interest entrepreneurship. Because the student to become successful, creative, and competition entrepreneurship in the industrial world. This needs to be instead from early in entrepreneurship learning. And the next, this picture is reset. Self-education and entrepreneurship are currently an important role for students in developing their interests. But it turns out that there are still many who are not interested in becoming entrepreneurship. It can be seen from the result of the pro-research that I have no much of the time but to become work at an agency or government. And the next picture are the factors that entrepreneurship interest, entrepreneurship motivation, family environment, entrepreneurship education, income expectation, self-efficacy, creativity, innovation, school environment, and community environment. And problem formulation. Self-efficacy have effect on the entrepreneurship motivation, and the next entrepreneurship motivation have influence on entrepreneurship in entrepreneurship, and the next self-efficacy have influence of interest in entrepreneurship, and the last entrepreneurship motivation mediated the effect of self-efficacy on entrepreneurship interest in student SMKN 50 Jakarta. And this is my research objective. For the first, self-efficacy influence entrepreneurship motivation, and the second, motivation entrepreneurship affect entrepreneurship interest, and the 13, self-efficacy affect entrepreneurship interest, and the last, the role of entrepreneurship motivation in mediate the effect of self-efficacy on entrepreneurship interests. And the next, novelty of the study. First, population and sample. Before study, technique used was accidental sampling, and this research is use simple random sampling. And the next, statistic data analyze before before research using regression analysis, and there's this research using path analysis. And the last, object research. Before research is student, and this research in student at SMKN 50 Jakarta. And the next, sporting theory of interest in entrepreneurship. Uh, for the first, according Busro, entrepreneurship interest is a person attraction that is contained within oneself, so that it can provide a sense of joy and enthusiasm in carrying out all activity related to entrepreneurship. And from the three experts, it is concluded that with the develop of an entrepreneurship interest is grow and loving and someone, which is the create an interest in something related to entrepreneurship, so that they have a feeling happy when running their business and are not afraid to face failures or risks to will occur. And the next, sporting theory self-efficacy. According Lucier, uh, self-efficacy is the belief in someone with the ability possessed by him to prove and achieve goal. And from these three variables, it can conclude that self-efficacy is a belief, and a belief that grows in a person to achieve a goal with confidence and trust. And the last, supporting theory, entrepreneurship motivation by Tentama. Uh, Entrepreneurship motivation is a major factor in entrepreneurship because entrepreneurship motivation that grow is someone who will according someone to create business opportunity, and it can be called from the three experts that entrepreneurship motivation is a condition of a person who is be able to provide and grab him, so that he is be able apply his potential for entrepreneurship. And the next framework for theories of efficacy on entrepreneurship motivation. For the according Sunanik and Aini, uh, she she according stated when someone who has confidence in himself to carry out activity related to entrepreneurship, it can encourage entrepreneurship motivation. And by Aini et al. Stat in increasing if a person has high confidence in his ability to start entrepreneurship, the motivation for entrepreneurship will increase in him. And the next, theory framework entrepreneurship motivation on entrepreneurship interest. For the first, by Nadia, suggests the entrepreneurship motivation affect entrepreneurship interest. Entrepreneurship motivation has a function because entrepreneurship motivation to be able to encourage and move someone to take entrepreneurship action accompanied by the direction and driving force. And by Tarmiati and Kumaro, status the entrepreneurship motivation is a attraction for someone to doing something which is alright to entrepreneurship in behaving and thinking about someone, desire to become an entrepreneur and to be able to realize their dreams, so that interest in entrepreneurship incurs. And the theory framework self-efficacy on entrepreneurship interests. Uh, According Samsudin et al., in his research stated that self-efficacy as something that is be able to affect the condition of a person's interest into who are trusted. And according Yanti, stated the entrepreneurship motivation is an attraction for someone to do something which is related to entrepreneurship in behaving and thinking about someone deserve to and to become an entrepreneur and be able to realize their dreams so that entrepreneurship interest increase. And a theory framework self-efficacy on entrepreneurship interests mediated by entrepreneurship motivation. According Saadah and Mahmoud, entrepreneurship motivation is a supporting factor that can influence one's action, where in this action a person is be able to believe in his abilities. And this is my relevant research. And this is the constellation and formulation on hypothesis to how one is self-efficacy and to how two motivation entrepreneurship and to how three self-efficacy on entrepreneurship interest and for how four self-efficacy uh, self-efficacy on motivation mediated by entrepreneurship interests. And the chapter 3, research place student on SMKN 50 Jakarta, and the research designs is quantitative and population and sample. Population student class 12 and 2016 4, and the sample is 2015. And the data collection technique, survey questionnaire, and preparation of instruments in the entrepreneurship interest. First indicator, feeling of pleasure. 2, interested. And the 3, call to take risks. And this is my instrument self-efficacy. First indicator, difficulty level, strength and belief, and generality. And the last instrument, entrepreneurship motivation. First, desire, encouragement, and expectation and aspiration. And this is my technique data analyze. For the first outer model analyze, in the outer model analyze is convergent validity, discriminant validity, composite reliability, and Cronbach alpha. And the inner model analyze two all variant analyze R2, F2, and VIF, and hypothesis test and Sobel test. Chapter 4. And the next, description of data self-efficacy. In this description analysis, this is done in order to provide a general description of data distribution processing. The results of the frequency distribution are obtained where the highest value is obtained 40 and the lowest data is 14. A rate of 26 from the number class interval of 1869, which is are round up to 9, and the class length is 2.188, which is the amount to 2. And this is the description data self-efficacy. And this is the graphic histogram self-efficacy. And the next, the result of the average self-efficacy score, where the highest indicator score research item 2, namely the level of difficulty with a total score of 900, 918, and the loss indicator on the item 7, namely generality of 847. And this is the description data entrepreneurship motivation. The research of entrepreneurship motivation. The high score was 45, and the low value was 12 with a rate of 13 and many class interval 369 round up to 9, and the class like interval 3.166, which is around up to 4. And this is a graphic histogram entrepreneurship motivation. And the result in the table show that the highest indicator of expectation or aspiration in the seven item is the 917, while the lowest indicator is 800 18.2 on the 6th point. Description data entrepreneurship interest. In the research of the average score calculated on the variable entrepreneurship interest, it can be seen that the indicator by obtain the high score is the item 3 with an indicator of a feeling happy of 962. Then the low indicator of the variable is the item 7. The indicator of the interest in obtained score of 950. And the next, this is the author research of author model. You can be seen, and this is validity. The result of time on the variable self-efficacy, entrepreneurship interest, and entrepreneurship motivation greater than 0.7. And this is discriminant validity. The results of discriminant validity can be seen that the value of three variable greater than 0.7. And next, discriminant validity, it can be seen that the value of the three variable greater than 0.7. And the composite reliability, when the data is greater than 0.7 in the research table composite reliability, that the three variable obtained research greater 0.7. And this is the table combats alpha and the research the strengthen the composite reliability. In the combats alpha table, it is found that the three variables are greater than 0.7. And the picture is the result of the inner model, which is I am the C, the presence of variant distributed. And this is the research R square. This is the R-square research in the table that interests entrepreneurship is 0, 19 greater than 0.667. So it is called that the strong and entrepreneur motivation of 0 point of uh, 67 more 0.133. It's signed to be moderate. And this is F square. First, the results of self-efficacy with interest in entrepreneurship are 0. Is medium and self-efficacy research with motivation of 1.196, which means the two variable is strong, and the results of entrepreneurship motivation is strong. And this is based on the table test research VIR that in each variable indicator of self-efficacy, entrepreneurship interest, and entrepreneurship motivation greater than and this is the PAP coefficient. In the PAP coefficient test research, the original sample are researched 0.815, while the test statistic result are 15.03, greater 1.96, then the result of the p-value is 0.00, small 0.05, and the next on the PAT coefficient, the test results obtained, the original sample results of the 0.803, then the result test statistic is greater 1.66, and the last in the PAT coefficient the result is greater than 1.96 research. And this is uji mediasi based on specific result of the indirect effect that the original sample is 0.165, and the test statistic is greater than 1.96, and the p-value is 0.0, small 0.5. And hypothesis test. H1 is self-efficacy, effect significant to entrepreneurship motivation, and H2 entrepreneurship motivation, effect significant against the entrepreneurship interest, and H3 self-efficacy, effect against the significant the entrepreneurship interest, and H4 self-efficacy, significant of the entrepreneurship interest mediated by motivation entrepreneurship. And this is the uji Sobel test, which is grade Z value 9.07, greater than 1.96. And chapter 5, this is the conclusion. The first in the PAT coefficient is the hypothesis first, self-efficacy effect on entrepreneurship motivation. And the second hypothesis is entrepreneurship motivation effect on uh, entrepreneurship interest. And the three hypothesis is self-efficacy effect on entrepreneurship interest. And the fourth hypothesis is self-efficacy effect on entrepreneurship interest mediated by entrepreneurship motivation. And thank you.